Hello, I'm Beck. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be drawing a D&D character based on the roll of the dice.
Let's bring out the Tower of Destiny!
Now we have a Kenku Paladin, but because it's nearly Easter, I decided to put my own little spin on it, and instead of basing the Kenku's race on a raven-esque creature, I decided to base it on a little baby chick, a little chicken. For those of you who don't know, Kenku usually look like a raven, except they are flightless. They do not have wings. So they're kind of a flightless bird race, which is why I also kind of went with the chicken. They can do little flappy flaps, but they can't actually fly. And I wanted to go for something a little cute, a little cheap. And Kenku. The Kenku traits that would still apply to this Kenku, who I'm gonna call Biddy, is so creature type is technically humanoid. The size can be medium or small, and you can choose. In this case, I'm going to choose small. I want this character to be very young. We'll get to that later. The walking speed is 30 feet. You have a trait called expert duplication, which means when you copy writing or craft work produced by yourself or someone else, you have advantage on any ability checks you make to produce an exact duplicate. That can come in very handy. You also have something called Kenku Recall. Thanks to your supernaturally good memory, you have proficiency in 2 skills of your choice. I would probably bump up some of my lower stats there, but I don't usually apply that when I'm just drawing the character. The last one you get as Kenku is called Mimicry, which means you can accurately mimic sounds you have heard, including voices. A creature that hears the sound you make can tell they are imitations only with a successful wisdom saving throw, DC of 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your charisma modifier. And if we have a look, the charisma modifier is already pretty good, so this is an excellent mimic. Except not like the monster mimic, like excellent at mimicking sounds. So, important distinction there. As a paladin, this Biddy is bound by a sacred oath to uphold justice in the world. And she gets her magical abilities from this oath. It doesn't necessarily mean that she's made an oath to a god, so she's like, that's kind of a cleric relationship. It's more the power of passion, I suppose. Stats wise, if you're playing as this character or as any paladin, you have proficiency in all armor and shields. You have proficiency in simple weapons and martial weapons. You have proficiency in the wisdom and charisma saving throws, and you get to choose 2 skills out of athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, persuasion, and religion that you have proficiency in. You start with pretty standard equipment for a knight. So this is basically the knight class. So chainmail and a holy symbol if you choose to be a holy kind of knight. You have a priest's pack or an explorer's pack. You have 5 javelins or any simple melee weapon, and a martial weapon and a shield, or 2 martial weapons. So you can choose not to have a shield if that is what you're into. You have divine sense, which is the presence of strong evil registers on your senses like a noxious odor, and powerful good rings like heavenly music powerful good rings like heavenly music in your ears. As an action, you can open your awareness to detect such forces, which means you have to actually kind of activate your divine sense. You can't just tell the DM you have divine sense and then they have to tell you when good or evil's around, because that's a lot of pressure for the DM, and also it can ruin some of your fun. And also, you can use divine sense a number of times equal to 1 plus your charisma modifier per long rest. You get lay on hands, which is your ability to heal wounds by touching. You have a pool of healing power that replenishes when you take a long rest. With that pool, you can restore a total number of hit points equal to your paladin level plus 5. You choose a fighting style, which is a little complicated, so I won't get into it just for a drawing, but feel free to look it up on D&D Beyond if you're interested in learning more about that. Now, for the subclass of Paladin, I was thinking one of the classics called the Oath of Devotion. The Oath of Devotion binds a paladin to the loftiest ideals of justice, virtue, and order. Sometimes called cavaliers, white knights, or holy warriors, these paladins meet the ideal of knight in shining armor, acting with honor in pursuit of justice and the greater good. The greater good. You don't get these things. You have the tenets of devotion, which include honesty, courage, compassion, honor, and duty. And those are sort of rules you live by. And with this subclass, when you reach 3rd level, you get 2 channel divinity options, including Sacred Weapon, which lets you create a weapon that lasts for 1 minute during battle, and each turn during a battle is 6 seconds, so that's a decent amount of time. And it can basically do attacks on some of the other people you're fighting in addition to you doing your turn, so I think it's a bonus action as well. You also have Turn the Unholy. As an action, you present your holy symbol and speak a prayer censuring fiends and undead using your channel divinity. Each fiend or undead that you can see or hear, that can see or hear you within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom saving throw. If the creature fails its saving throw, it is turned for 1 minute or until it takes damage. A turned creature must spend its turn trying to move as far away from you as it can, and it can't willingly move to a space within 30 feet of you. It also can't take reactions. For example, it can only use the dash action or try to escape from an effect that prevents it from moving. If there's nowhere to move, the creature can use the dodge action. You also gain some oath spells like Protection from Evil and Good and Sanctuary. At different levels you get other spells, of course, and at other levels you also get traits like Aura of Devotion, Purity of Spirit, and Holy Nimbus. Holy Nimbus is a 20th level trait or oath benefit, and as an action you can emanate an aura of sunlight. For 1 minute, bright light shines from you in a 30-foot radius and dim light shines 30 feet beyond that. Whenever an enemy creature starts its turn in the bright light, that creature takes 10 radiant damage. Wowzers. In addition, for the duration, you have advantage on saving throws against spells cast by fiends or undead. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until long rest. I would hope not. That's a pretty powerful feature, so want to get up to level 20 as a paladin. That's really cool. Now, looking at our stats here, we can see that Biddy has a -1 to strength, a -1 to dex, and a -2 to wisdom. So that is why I wanted this to be a very young character. I feel like having -2 to wisdom means you have not done anything ever in the world or just in your life. You can see I decided to have the shield and some of the armor be made from the egg that this chick has hatched from. So she's brand new. She's basically popped out of the egg and decided to be a knight and just going for it. But she has no world experience, no ability to read people. So a little bit on the stupid side and not very strong and not very sneaky or dexterous in like the ability to disable a trap or anything like that. She does have high constitution though. She fought her way out of that egg and she did not get weary, and it can take a long time. And apparently you're not supposed to help chicks hatch out of eggs, so that's a thing. The ones that can't do it apparently would not survive even if you help them out of the... I'm not a vet or anything. I don't know how this works, but she's got the +3 to constitution, so she's got some stamina. She can go for it, and also I feel like she eats worms and stuff, which is, I put a little worm on her shield. I think I get rid of it later though, but she eats stuff off the ground, so she's got good constitution. She might not be very strong, but she can take a hit, which is, you know, not to be sniffed at. She's got the +1 to intelligence, so even though she's not particularly wise, she's good at learning and remembering things, which comes in handy as you're growing. And just the highest charisma, or I think this is the highest stat I've ever rolled, an 18. Charisma +4. So I feel like this is very squarely in the ability to charm people, not so much intimidate. So I think this would be a case of she's very good at maybe lying. And just her big baby chick eyes, people will just melt like putty in her hands and will do anything to please her, which, you know, comes in handy. It means she doesn't need to fight, and I don't think she's particularly good at fighting just yet, so that would be handy. So we've covered that Biddy's background is essentially a newborn, although I'd say that in terms of adventuring, I'd put her age more psychologically than anything at around like 12 or 13, so still a child, but also if you're playing by like Pokemon rules or Studio Ghibli kind of rules, it's a perfectly acceptable age for you to go out on your own and have adventures. So still a child. I think in terms of adventuring party, I would very much like this to be like a cute Eastery themed maybe one shot where you're searching for lost eggs or just chocolate eggs, why not? And you have to go from, you know, place to place, maybe solving some puzzles. You definitely would want a herringon on your adventuring party as well, because those are rabbit type people and rabbit folk or bunny folk, rounding out the party with some little chicks and some bunnies. And I suppose you definitely want to have some druids and maybe a fairy or two fluttering around, and just get up to some Eastery shenanigans. Searching out, or maybe the land has been devoid of chocolate. Someone has stolen all the chocolate from the land, and it is the party's job to seek it out and reclaim it. A little bit of Willy Wonka vibes going on with that as well. So what do we think of Biddy? And does anyone have any ideas on what would be fun for an Easter-themed campaign? I know that Kenku are usually very dark and brooding, so I think it's very fun to use such a dark brooding race for something as bright and cheerful as Easter and spring vibes, and just so much fun. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and all that jazz. And share it with your friends if it's something you think they'd want to see. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will catch you next time. Okay, bye!